Okay, everyone, we're going to start the continuation of the public hearing for the Wolfeboro Budget Committee. We started the meeting back on January 9th, and when we, at the end of the meeting, we continued it to today, which is January 18th. We're going to cover, I think, 3 warrant articles and take care of and finish some additional business that we didn't complete the other night. I guess I'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance, if we could.
I'll knock you down. Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Bob.
You're welcome.
No, I'm 225 pounds over.
Okay, Mr. Town Manager, do you have anything you want to start us off on?
John, could you bring your mic a little closer? Thank you. That'd be great.
Just one of the articles that you need to discuss this evening is a housekeeping issue relative to the Parks and Recreation tractor. That, in your vote, was a 5-3 vote. In the past, you've made a motion to not recommend. That did not happen, so you should probably make a motion to not recommend and then vote yes if you're not in favor of the project. The other one that I believe we have to go through, we did get an opinion from New Hampshire DRA regarding, and I apologize you didn't have the numbering, warrant Article 24, which is the 911 ambulance municipal operations contract, which is a petition warrant article. You, as the Budget Committee, are good to go and vote on that. The Board of Selectmen voted last night, voted to recommend by a margin of 5-0. And that's pretty much all I have.
Okay. Do you have a number assigned to the tractor yet?
Yes, the tractor is warrant article number 12.
12, okay. Can I get a motion not to recommend Article 12 of the 2022 warrant articles?
So moved. Second.
Second. Any further discussion? Okay, could you do a roll call vote, please?
Bob Tuffer,
No.
Bobby Budman,
Yes.
John McDonald. Do not recommend.
Yes.
Tom Bell,
Yes.
Bob Mulholland,
Yes.
Brian Black. Paul O'Brien,
No.
and Brian DeShays. Yes. 5-3. It passes. 5-0.
Okay, the motion to not recommend passed 5-3 to 0.
No, 5-2, I'm sorry.
5-2?
5-2-0.
5-2-0.
6-2, isn't it?
6.
I have 6.
6-2-0.
6-2. I think it's more than that, because there's 9 of us here, right?
There's not. Bob Mulholland and Matt.
But you,
not
yeah,
here.
but Brian voted.
Mulholland's here.
I mean, Bob Lohman
Okay.
and Matt Plash are not here.
Correct.
Right, but we also have Brian. So that kicks us up to
8.
8. There's 8 of us.
8, okay.
6-2-0.
Okay, 6-2-0. Thank you very much. Okay, Jim, do you want to do your presentation on the other warrant articles?
Okay, so the other warrant article is Article 24, which is 911 ambulance municipal operations contract. And it reads, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $500,000 without further action by town meeting for the purpose of a 911 ambulance municipal operations contract should the warrant article for 2022 operating budget fail and the town enter into a default budget. This warrant article shall be null and void if the town passes the 2024 operating budget warrant that includes ambulance funding submitted by petition. Estimated tax rate impact for 2024, 21 cents per thousand of assessed valuation, recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 5-0. We had deliberations with legal counsel and with, through our legal counsel with New Hampshire DRA. New Hampshire DRA saw no major issues with this. The concerns that the Board of Selectmen and I had relative to the warrant article were taken care of satisfactorily. Therefore, they were given the okay that they can vote on this article as it is legal, and they did last evening, passing it by a margin of 5-0. And I'm not sure the board may want to speak on it further or not.
Thank you, Jim. What's that? I
It was
don't,
handed out.
Here, Brian.
Might not have been. It was a late breaking article.
what number has that one been assigned?
24.
Okay,
Question?
The motion to accept
Question?
hold on.
discussion.
Hold on just a second. Got a question?
Question?
Go ahead, Paul.
So if the voters said no, the no is no rule would only apply to that warrant article and not to anything else. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And I'm not trying to put words in anyone's mouth. Did the select board say that if a default budget were to occur, they would still have, or they would find funds to fund an ambulance service?
Could you repeat that, Paul?
Did I hear somebody say that if a default budget were to occur, that the select board would find funds to fund an ambulance service?
I said that one of the first things we would need to cover would be the ambulance service because of its service to the community, and we'd have to cut other things because we could not be without an ambulance service. That was my personal statement that I made.
Thank you, Linda.
The other piece of it is the ruling allows us to make line item transfers. So there is a mechanism, and there would be a desire for the board to supply ambulance care to the citizens just the way they've always received it.
Well, the ruling by DRA to do line item transfers is stock and file, right? You can do that any time.
What we asked DRA is we asked all the different combinations of what could happen to make sure there wasn't one that could cause us a problem.
I got it.
And they said, nope, they had no problem with any of it, so.
The one that I'm most concerned about is if there's a no only means no for that warrant article.
Correct.
And not for anything else.
Exactly. I
Correct.
checked that
Thank you.
one out, exactly.
Thanks, Linda.
John, I got a
appreciate it.
question too.
Go ahead, Bob.
It took us so long to figure it out.
Jim, I was wondering, is there any scenario where we could use the funds in the unexpended fund balance, or would that have to wait until the audit is concluded?
That would have to, number one, wait until the audit is complete. And number two, if you were saying to attach a statement to this warrant article utilizing unassigned fund balance,
No.
we are beyond that.
No, I wasn't going anywhere near that. I was just curious about that. And also, well, I guess you have that other road too with what you did by going to DRA, like with the electric fund balance or something along those lines. And also the revaluation will go away in a default budget, and that's something that could be pushed out a year in that scenario.
Correct, and that question was asked of me earlier today, and the cyclical is part of the default budget. So if we go to a default, the reevaluation goes away. However, there is funds in the budget to be able to continue to do the cyclical work.
Okay, so that, just a technical point on that, would that have to go through us? Would we have to,
It's in your default
It's
budget
in the
that I believe
default
you
budget
signed.
already.
okay. And we don't put that together, you do,
We've got it-
the finance,
yeah,
okay, good.
correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, can I get a motion to recommend Article 24?
Motion to recommend Article 24?
I'll second it.
Okay, any further discussion? Yes, sir.
So my understanding of this warrant
Use the
article,
mic.
Tom?
my understanding of this warrant article then is that it's belts and suspenders. The Board of Supervisors has said, and you have said, there's money in the budget to cover the ambulance service if there's a default budget. And so this would be basically saying that we couldn't, or we wouldn't do it, and we'd have to.
I would just clarify that if we go to a default budget, the money's not necessarily in the budget. We would have to make moves in town operations.
Taking it on faith that the Board of Supervisors would find that.
We would have to make some very difficult decisions to make that work.
Yeah, but this warrant article, we could have a default budget, and if it passed, we'd be whole for the ambulance service. That's what that warrant article does. That's why I, as a selectman, voted for it, because it covers and makes sure that we could have ambulance service without gutting the regular operating budget if we had a default budget.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, Brian?
Just, I certainly understand the reason behind this, but I have, concerns about the, I have concerns about someone that, or that it might set a precedent for issues down the road that someone feels is important and would want to separate out their, for lack of better terms, pet project from the general operating budget and put it in the form of a warrant article. I certainly understand the importance of the ambulance service. Someone else might feel strongly about the town-wide revaluation. I just have a real concern that we're not promoting our budget, our general operating budget as we should. I mean, if this is important to be in the general operating budget, we should be promoting and advocating for that budget to be passed. I get why this is done, because you do want a safety net in the event that the budget does not pass. But I certainly don't want to see us kind of promote the budget to not pass.
May I speak? So the citizens always have the right to petition the town and put on a petition warrant article. So, and people have done that in the past, and hopefully they'll do it in the future. That's part of the process. I think as far as promoting the budget, I think, again, it is our job as a budget committee to explain to the town at the deliberative session why you believe in the budget and why the citizens should pass the budget. That's up to us.
John?
Paul?
I think Brian makes a really good point. And it's caused me to rethink something here. If you take the default budget and add to it whatever the amount of funds would be added to it, you're almost close to the standard budget anyway. You're within, I don't have my spreadsheet here, but you're within a cat's whisker of being at the standard budget. So this could be construed as a, what would we call it?
An end around?
Excuse me?
An end around?
An end around.
Yeah.
It could be construed as an end around. Take the default budget, add $500,000 to it, and you're just about where the town's operating budget is right now in total.
But I don't
So
think
next
that-
year, we need a new resin frats for our new public safety building, and we think the voters aren't going to like that, so we'll just put it out here. I find Mr. Black's commentary very useful, very important.
I understand it, but I also think that the voters are going to vote for what they see as a necessity. They're not going to vote for a razzmatazz, especially if a razzmatazz is not something that is recommended by the select board, not recommended by the budget committee. They'll see through that cheesecloth if that happens. Where this is something that could potentially be a health and safety issue for the town, I think people are smart enough to look at this and see the reason why this warrant article is necessary.
But, and if I could just finish, you're effectively, what we could be saying here to the voter, unless somebody proves me wrong with math, is you don't need to worry about what you vote for. We're going to get everything we proposed in this budget, minus probably $50,000. That's, dear voter, you can vote
No,
for...
it's about 700,000.
Just hang on a second. Dear voter, you can vote for the operating budget that is before you, that the Board of Selected people said is a good idea and that we kind of came close to, or you can vote for the default budget, which will trigger this other warrant article, and you add those two together, and it's pretty close to the operating budget.
Also,
So
this year,
your vote is academic at that point.
This year, the delta T is also much smaller than it usually is.
The what, dear?
The delta T, the difference between the default budget and the regular budget is
I got it.
is closer than usual.
$60,000.
Jim, do you know what the difference between the operating budget and the default budget? I think it's more than just $50.
I'm trying to look at my
I'm
spreadsheet.
The
closer-
difference is $1,071,297.
So you're talking about 600.
$97.
Yeah.
And we're closer this year between the two than we usually. If you look at it historically, it's usually a bigger spread between the two.
I gotta find my
Yes, sir,
spreadsheet.
go ahead, Bob.
I gotta find my spreadsheet. Go ahead, Bob.
I thought of, I had the same thought process as Brian Black did. And I see another angle or another side of this. This warrant is going on the ballot no matter how we vote for it.
All right.
And if we vote it down, let's say we vote against it, a majority vote, I could see a person looking at this saying, look at this, the Budget Committee went 8-1 on the, or 9-1 on the budget, and they're going against this fallback ambulance coverage. So the Budget Committee is saying to us, you either pass the budget or you don't get ambulances, something along those lines. I think it's critical to support this warrant article as much as we supported the operating budget. It would have been nice if that was unanimous, and especially after the Select Board voted for it unanimously, so.
But
That's
somebody
it.
in leadership would explain that, wouldn't they, Bob?
I don't know if I could.
What do you want explained exactly?
No, Bob played out a scenario that could cause somebody to say, you either vote for the the operating budget, or you're not going to get an ambulance. Somebody would explain that, wouldn't they, Bob? Wouldn't explain that that's a falsehood?
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
Okay, just checking.
I mean, the Board of Selectmen looked at taking the 750 and taking it out.
Yeah.
And we didn't do that, because if that went down, there was nothing.
No means no.
And we felt that, we really thought that the majority of people would want ambulance service, they'd vote for it, but we weren't willing to risk that whole thing.
Yeah.
Because then we would not have been able to do it in the operating budget.
Okay, anything else?
Good discussion. Good discussion.
Okay, roll call vote.
Oh, can I make one comment first? I
Yeah.
am going to abstain from this vote. I initiated the warrant article, so I will not be voting on this evening.
We could do it.
Okay,
No, she's fine. She's only one.
You could vote. I think you could vote.
this would be a roll call vote of recommend on Article 24. Leanne, please.
Bob Telfer,
Yes.
Bobby Ledman,
Abstain.
John McDonald.
Yes.
Tom Bell,
Yes.
Bob O'Holland,
Yes.
Brian Black. Matt- oh, Paul O'Brien.
Yes.
And Brian DeShay.
Yes.
7-0. To recommend.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Just confirming, Leanne, 701 is the way you want it on the
Yep.
ballot at this time. Got it. Thank you.
Okay, do we have anything else, Jim, as far as warrant articles? We're all set on all the warrant articles? That's your knowledge?
That's all of them. That's all of your financial warrant articles, Mr. Chairman.
You folks should have got a email that included an attachment from the town assessor. Does anyone want to make any comments concerning that email? He had spoken to me, and I told him to put his thoughts down, and I'd present it to the Budget Committee.
My comment would be, it would have been nice to have gotten this email early on in our packet so that when we had an opportunity to talk about this, we could have read it.
Well, unfortunately, I didn't get it till late last night, and I got it out as fast as I could. Does anyone else have any positive comments about it? Or negative?
I have a comment, John. I just want to say that in part of the budget that we are presenting before the citizens includes $200,000 to correct our valuation. And I think that's one of the things that this board, it's our job to let the citizens know that, if we're already at 650,000, that other 200,000, we're now down to 450 in our budget as expanding this year to help our employees and to do the things in town we need to do. And as a board, if we're talking about having that conversation that we just had about the ambulance, we need to lay out to the citizens how close our budget is to our default budget once you take out this 200,000 and the ambulance. So
So are you going to now vote for the budget or vote against the budget?
I'm sorry, say that
Are you going
again?
to stay with your vote against the budget?
Well, that's not opened yet, but I hope it opens up at the deliberative
Yeah,
session.
we're not talking about that stuff. We're talking about the email that I sent out from the assessor, which talks about cylindrical values, and that's what I'd like to focus on. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
My understanding of that email basically was that we are within our rights to postpone a year on the assessment. We're getting close to all of the metrics that dictate that we should do it, but that we can put it off. And so by putting it off, we can help the budget process. So I think he made a good case that we ought to think about seriously doing it in 2025, or we have to do it in 2025, but not this year.
Question,
Yes.
how do we help the budget process?
I didn't hear you, Paul.
How do we help the budget process by deferring this for another year?
Well, we don't spend the money to do it. Something that did catch my eye was that he indicated that we were favoring the high-end property owners in detriment to the lower-end property owners, where if we did a reassessment, maybe the higher-end property owners would have to pony up a lot more than the lower. But I guess we won't know that until we actually do the reassessment. But in terms of helping the budget process, we would not spend the money this year,
But we are going to have to spend the money.
next year.
And so we're just, we could say that we're deferring that, but next year, we're going to have to do it, even if it's hypothetically at a higher rate.
John, may I make a comment?
Yes, go ahead.
So, Leanne, do you remember the vote, or do you have the vote right there that we took on that 200,000? Because I believe we had already voted on that, and we voted to keep it in there. And I'm not sure who was on the prevailing side and who wasn't on that. So probably if we're going to open this up for,
I think there were 2 no votes.
But
Yeah.
no, in the operating budget, there was 200,000 for this particular item we're discussing right now. And someone opened up to, I think it was, Bob, was it you? Yeah, it was Bob Mulholland, opened it up to take the 200,000 out of the budget. Yeah, regular meeting, and I think that was on December 28th.
so,
Go ahead, Bob.
so is the question that if we voted on it, then we have to have a motion by somebody who was in the affirmative to reopen the entire budget for discussion? Is that where you're
Right
going
now,
with that?
right now,
Yes.
we had a public hearing, we voted on the budget, and we're going to let it stand with what it is. Unless someone wants to, is in the affirmative, wants to change it and say.
Yeah,
they didn't-
yeah.
John, I got a couple things.
You have to reopen the budget discussion.
I have a couple things.
Go ahead, Bob.
Okay, first paragraph. Thank you for allowing me to elaborate on why I believe performing cyclical data collection and, more importantly, conducting a townwide reassessment in 2024. This is the opinion of our assessor, that we should conduct a reassessment in 2024. It goes on to say that the standard is an assessment to sale ratio of between 90 and 110%
Right.
is the barometer.
Right.
And right now, the town of Wolfeboro is sitting at 57.9%. We're way below the minimum rate. We have to get this done, whether it's this year or not.
Right.
Tom Bell brought up the bias toward higher value properties, which he indicated in this letter. And John, by your rule, for many, many, many years, we do not initiate motions at our public hearing. Unless it's brought to us by some member of the public, we would make a motion. There are no members of the public at this public hearing. So by your rule, we cannot initiate any motions.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob. Also, do we have anything else? If someone wants to change this, they can do it at the deliberative session. And then we can consider it when we vote again on the deliberative session as any changes to any of the warrant articles.
John, once again, would you repeat that?
If someone wants to change this, they can get up and go at the stand and put a motion in to do whatever they want to do with the budget.
Yes.
And then after that, we'll, if it passes, we'll consider it and we'll make the adjustment in the budget.
That's correct. And if there are any changes made to the budget at the deliberative session, we will have to have a meeting after the deliberative session, and we might get a much poorer vote for approval of the operating budget. I, for one, will turn into a no vote if the 200,000 is pulled out.
Thank you, Bob. Anything else from anybody?
John?
Yes, sir.
I kind of side with Bob. Let's put our business down right now. Let's just do what we have to do. If we don't like what we did, it's the way it is. You can go to the microphone if you want, but I think by last count it was 13 weeks. We've been at this for 13 weeks. Let's put it on the table and just move forward.
Anything else? Again, I hope everyone will support this budget doesn't have any fat in it that I can see. That's stuff we need to do. Jim, do you have anything?
I would just reiterate and, there's an echo, encourage you to embrace the reevaluation. Please remember that it was this budget committee that recommended that we do place it in the warrant, which we've done. Additionally, that's going to put us $200,000 plus in the hole for the 2024 operating budget, knowing full well that there's some expectations that next year that there's a radio plan coming forward, there's lease purchases potentially for a groomer, there's all kinds of items that are staring us in the face next year. So I think this needs to get done. And to Mr. Black's point previously, I think we want to have as current of an evaluation as we possibly can have when that full boarding of the public safety building at $13.1 million comes onto the tax rate. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Do you know when the reevaluation is all done, when will that hit on the taxes? 2025 or?
The goal, if I remember correctly, John, is that it would be on the 2024 tax rate setting in the fall of 2024, if our contractor can get the work done.
Correct.
That's the goal.
Okay. I had one other question. I was looking through some of the things we spend, the $171,000 that goes to Governor Wentworth.
Sorry.
I'm sorry?
There's $171,000 that goes to Governor Wentworth School District from the town.
I would need more detail. I can't pull that right off the top of my head at this point.
I'm not sure I understand the question, John. Where does it come from?
The town sends $171,000 to Governor Wentworth.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering what other towns do that, if we're the only one that does that, or how that all came about.
Is that the impact fees?
Yeah.
That's the impact fees. That was something that was adopted by warrant article previously. People come in to do a project, they pay an impact fee, and a percentage of that, my understanding, goes to Governor Wentworth School District. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'd just be interested, Jim, to see if other communities participate in that.
I think one other community does. I will get that information for you.
And if we get any credit, or
We do.
we do get a credit.
So it is used to buy down the Wolfeboro portion of the school tax rate.
Okay, great.
So whatever that percentage is, 34, 36%, that 100 and whatever thousand in impact fees is applied to
Okay,
that.
I'm good then. If we get a credit for it, that's fine.
Okay, sorry it took a minute to get the cogs caught up.
That's okay. Tom?
I guess I'm getting confused a little bit with this reassessment. You're basically saying we should reconsider that, or if it comes up in the deliberative session, that we should think about it?
I think you should keep it in the budget as it is, period.
All set. Anybody else? Okay. Jim, do you have anything else?
I do not. We will get these documents completed. Once they're completed, we'll reach out for your signature so that we can get them posted, which if I remember correctly, that they need to be posted by the 29th of January. As far as the warrant, the budget, default budget, all of those signatures, we'll get those completed and reach out to you when we're ready for signatures.
Okay. We don't have a very big public turnout. We have one person with us. Did you have any public comment you wanted to make, sir? Okay. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, thank you.
How about the select board? Anything, Brian, on your end? No, okay.
We're tired.
You tired? Okay. Okay, just to Quick
John,
reminder for everyone, yes,
Can I
Paul.
ask a question? I just have a question on the warrant article for the 40-year lease at Pop Whalen. I'm a little confused why that isn't going before the Budget Committee, considering we're going to give space for potentially for 40 years, which would be a donation if we're not able to rent out those locker rooms for the approximate 8 months that hockey isn't in there?
It's a lease of real property, and that lease of real property falls under the purview of the Board of Selectmen. It is not an expenditure, therefore it does not fall under the Budget Committee. And on top of that, if we were doing that, we would be bringing to you the Historic Society lease as well.
I know, but we have approximately 8 months where this is an enterprise fund where we could be renting out potentially locker room space that we're not going to be. Is that not considered a donation by the town for those months?
So that is part of the original agreement with the breakdown of the $2.7 million donation that came forward, or will be completely coming forward, from the Friends of Pop Whalen based on the square footage calculation.
But this lease isn't with Friends of Pop. This lease is with 3 different other entities in the warrant article.
Correct. And those entities will be making their buy-in, is my understanding, to the Friends of Pop Whalen, which will help the Friends of Pop Whalen fulfill the commitment of the $2.7 million to the town.
Which confuses me and confounds me a little more, because when the voters passed that warrant article in 2022, in the warrant article wasn't that we were building space that wouldn't be under our purview.
Okay, Jim, I'm going to shut everybody down on that. It has nothing to do with the Budget Committee. I think the best forum for that is probably with the selectmen, because they make all the decisions on leases and things like that. So I'm going to have us move on. And if Bobby wants to adjust with the selectmen at a selectmen's meeting, that's fine, but it
This
really...
has a fiscal impact on our town and on our ice rink. Okay.
Okay, just a kind reminder, we're going to have a deliberative session on February 6th at 7 PM with a snow date of February 8th at 7 PM. My understanding, Jim, that copies of the budget are downstairs here, online?
Yes, we will have copies of them here in the building for people to pick up, and we will as well have them online. The Board of Selectmen did the warrant article taping yesterday afternoon, so that should be up on the Wolfeboro Community TV site within the week. And yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have anything else? Okay, if I could get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Any further discussion? Leanne, could you do a roll call vote, please?
Yes.
This is to adjourn?
Yeah.
No.
John McDonald,
Yes.
Tom Bell,
Yes.
Bob Mulholland,
Yes.
Brian Black. Paul O'Brien. And Brian DeShade.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes, and I'll see everyone on February 6th here at the Town Hall.
And thank you to Jake up there, Jake. Thank you.
A lot of long hours for that young man.